terms of the exits, we know of the links of Garnacho to Chelsea, which Chelsea fans would like an update on. But also last night, there were some rumours going around that Spurs could try and enter this race, although we know that Garnacho has been saying no to everybody else. But I think I remember you saying yesterday on the United stand that he does keep saying he's waiting, but what if the bid never comes? Footballers often change their mind. So have you heard anything about Tottenham getting involved? Is there more movement in the Garnacho exit to Chelsea?
Not necessarily. I mean, right at the beginning of the window, you had Spurs, Villa, Chelsea for Garnacho because it was obvious that Son was leaving. Matis Tel was going to be signed permanently, but they wanted one more on the left-hand side. Now we have to understand whether Thomas Frank influences the situation and Garnacho is a player he wants. Tottenham's top target remains Savinho. It's being blocked at board level. So if nothing gives, Savinho stays. But if something gives, Spurs are definitely going to bid again for Savinho. He's their top target on that left-hand side. And then, of course, it might open the door for Rodrigo to go to Manchester City. So that's a story to keep an eye on, but it all depends basically on the Man City board. Savinho said he's keen on Spurs. Pep Guardiola may not stand in his way, but you have a scenario where at board level, they think that Savinho is going to be one of these elite players, a bit like Cole Palmer, that if they let go, they're going to regret near instantly. And that is kind of where we're at right now. So any other left-wing target will only become prevalent for Tottenham if Savinho becomes dead. And I'm not so sure yet that Tottenham have given up. I think if they'd have got Eberechi Eze, they might have gone, let's try other younger or cheaper left-wing profiles. But it wouldn't surprise me if Daniel Levy doubles down now and says we need to leave this window, having missed out on Gibbs White and Eze, with a real star signing akin to Mohamed Kudus, that's going to excite these Tottenham supporters. And that's what I think we just need to still keep an eye, at least on the Savinho case, even though in the last few weeks it's been very difficult. With Garnacho and Chelsea, it's obvious Garnacho wants Chelsea. And I come back to what we've said many times. I think we mentioned it yesterday on the United stand. So sorry if I repeat myself to people that were listening to that show. Man United want 50 million. They think it's a fair price. Noni Madueke went to Arsenal. Chelsea did that sale, 48 plus 4. So Garnacho should be a similar ballpark. Then you have Chelsea knowing Man United want to sell, knowing the player wants the move. So they're waiting, not because the deal club to club is necessarily in doubt, but it's a tactic because Chelsea know it's their best chance of the price dropping a little bit south of 50 million. And we have to wait and see who caves. And of course, Man United would welcome a bid from another club and will fuel a bid from another club because that helps them get their 50 million and create a bidding war. Right now as well, Chelsea are working on Nkunku exit. Let's see where he goes. They're trying to get Nico Jackson out. I think we're going to get movement on Nicholas Jackson in the next 72 hours or so. You got Villa, Newcastle, Bayern, even Milan could re-enter the race if the price drops too. So Chelsea are juggling a lot of things at the moment, but they remain confident that if they create the squad space and if they get their A-list registration for the Champions League, which is the big thing at the moment, because you have to get outgoings and specifically balance the books to make sure all their new signings in September can be registered for the Champions League. So this is where Nkunku and Jackson come in. Those are the two they want out. And then I would expect them to move pretty quickly for Alejandro Garnacho. I think an exit will suit all parties. And obviously with Xavi Simons, it's a bit more complicated because there is no asking price yet that has really been agreed or close there. Whereas with Garnacho, even though they've not got a fee in place, I think the feeling is that Manchester United and Chelsea might end up meeting halfway because, like I said a moment ago, it will suit all parties for Garnacho to leave.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And a lot of Chelsea fans have they DM me, have I heard anything? I'm like, well, I'm not a journalist, but I'll ask people. The Xavi Simons deal, I remember talking to a few journalists privately, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, that said it feels like this is a deal that will definitely happen and could happen quite quickly. But it does feel from especially an outsider looking in, like it's really dragging its heels.
Well, I think it's dragging its heels because Manchester United are sticking to 50 million. And I don't think that's a bad price when it was 60 plus million in January. And you have a Langer that's gone for, I think it was 55, Noni Madueke 52. I know not all these players are identical, but they're all attackers ultimately, and it's an inflated market. Dango Ouattara was 42.5 million. So I think if Manchester United look at all these numbers, they'll say it's a fair price. But Chelsea know there's urgency to resolve this. And the last thing Manchester United want to do is be stuck with Garnacho with the window ending, paying his wage when they could have got pure profit on the books. So Chelsea are playing on that tactic, and inaction in many ways is a tactic. And if you wait and wait and wait, the price will be at its lowest in the final few days of the window. And Chelsea need to resolve Nkunku and Jackson. I don't think they just want to do Garnacho and Xavi Simons. And then I think there's a few other twists and moving parts. For example, if it's Villa for Nico Jackson, and again, that is an if, but Villa like Jackson. Emery had Jackson at Villarreal. So there's a link there. And if Chelsea are thinking the realistic two are Garnacho and Xavi Simons, but then Villa want Nico Jackson at 60, 70, 80 million, whatever the number is, I think Chelsea would at least ask the question about Morgan Rogers in the same way that some reports suggest Spurs are going to ask the question on Morgan Rogers. So we're at that stage of the window now where you get a bit of unexpected opportunism. So if you just wait, a name that you actually have wanted for quite some time might become available. I think it's less than 5% chance, maybe even not even a 1% chance that Villa will entertain business for Morgan Rogers. But you can never say never because of their financial situation, even after selling the women's club to their parent company. But we also have to be very fair to Aston Villa in all of this too, that everyone's been saying, and rightly at the beginning of the window, that Emi Martinez might leave. He's still there. There's been talks and interest for Ollie Watkins. He's still there. There's been Saudi interest in Yuri Tielemans. He's still there. There's new Al Ahly interest in Amadou Onana. He's still there. They've got Jacob Ramsey and Leon Bailey out. Those are probably two big outgoings to satisfy their financial need. Now it's clear that after Evan Gesson's arrived, that they'd still like to do Marco Asensio and Nico Jackson, another striker opportunity too. So Villa seem to be looking at incomings now, which is probably a suggestion that in this latter part of the window, they do think their finances are in order. But let's see, because we're at the most unpredictable days now of the window. And the clear direction of travel has been Garnacho, Simons to Chelsea. I think Garnacho is still very likely. I think Xavi Simons very realistic. But don't be surprised if Chelsea tries something dramatic in the final days of the window, because it's Chelsea. And under this new ownership, they've always been audacious. And if they don't surprise us, I would almost be surprised.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think exits, listen, are very, very important. It isn't just balancing the books. It's nobody wants problems in the dressing room. And I don't mean bad eggs or bad players, but having a group, 4, 5, 6 players that are not really going to feature, not really going to play. We know historically, we've read, autobiographies, we've listened to managers, we've spoken to people that have owned clubs. It can create problem and disharmony. And we had it at Man United, actually, when our old number 2 goalkeeper, ironically, we spoke about number 2s today in Romero. We promised him a move and he didn't get one. And he was kind of sitting around twiddling his thumbs. And there was a lot of talk that pissed off a lot of his teammates that are very good friends with him, because they're like, look, we want to be professional and we're going to be, but you've made promises to a friend of ours who's now, maybe he won't go to the World Cup. Maybe he won't do this. Maybe he won't do that. You made him promises. You've broken them. It does upset the dressing room. And you need to be very, very careful as a club to not create, to risk that kind of disharmony, especially in a season for Chelsea where they're looking to push on and go to that next level. Viewers, do us a big, big favor, please.